Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good day to us. First of all, my name is Al-ammar H. Untoa, the third reporter in Group 2 in Contemporary Political Trends. So my topic for today is all about political thinkers and types of government. So political thinkers. Political thinkers is a branch of philosophy that is concerned at the most abstract level with the concepts and arguments involved in political opinion. However, one may characterize as political all those practices and institutions that are concerned with government. So, ang political thinkers daw is branch yan ng philosophy. Dito napapaloob yung mga kani-kanilang mga opinion or arguments pagdating sa political aspects or government. However, one may characterize as political all those practices and institutions that are concerned with the government. So, itong political thinkers is characterize siya as political. Ibig sabihin, yung mga practices and institution that are concerned with the government. Ibig sabihin, yung mga institution na concerned sa government. So, dito nila sinasaad yung kanilang mga opinion pagdating sa politics. So we are now proceed to the 8th grade political thinkers. The first one is Thucydides 460 to 395. Like other classical political theorists, Thucydides saw politics as involving moral questions. Most importantly, he asked whether relations among states to which power is crucial can also be guided by the norms of justice. So ayon kay Thucydides, ini-involve daw yung moral question na dapat tanggap-tanggap siya kasi moral siya ayon kay Thucydides. Halimbawa, yung human rights ay isang moral kaya katanggap-tanggap siya sa government ayon kay Thucydides. In short, politics supports moral concern. Example, bawal ang by voting. So, bawal sa politika dahil nalalabag niya yung moral, sabi ni Thucydides. Although, may gumagawa pa din dito, pero ang fact is bawal talaga. Kapag bawal, bawal din sa politics. Like, bawal pumatay ng tao, kaya bawal sa politika, yun ayon kay Thucydides. Ayon kay Thucydides, hindi pwedeng sabihin nating na okay lang pumatay at least nasa politika. Dahil naaapakan mo ang sinasabing moral na which is yun yung paniniwala ni Thucydides sa sinasabing politics. Kaya kung ano ang labag sa moral ng tao ay labag din sa politika ayon kay Thucydides. His history of Peloponnesian War is in fact neither a work of political philosophy nor a sustained theory of international relations. Ang paniniwala ni Thucydides sa Peloponnesian War ay yan yung away ng Greece, Sparta at Athens. So sabi niya, hindi daw yung trabaho o dapat ginagawa ng isang politics o politician o hindi yon nabibilang sa political philosophy or hindi siya nabibilang sa sustained theory of international relation. Ibig sabihin, hindi sinusuportahan ng politics ang ganong gawain according the view of Thucydides about politics or government. Meaning, politics, one good, not bad. So we are proceed to the second great political thinkers is John Locke, 1632 to 1704. John Locke refuted the theory of the divine right of kings and argued that all persons are endowed with natural rights to life, liberty, and property, and that rulers who fail to protect those rights may be removed by the people by force if necessary. So ayon naman dito kay John Locke, nire-refuted niya o salungat sa kanyang paniniwala na ang isang king o namumuno sa isang bansa ay may karapatan na siya sa lahat ng aspeto. which is against siya sa paniniwalang yon na ang may karapatan lang ay yung namumuno sa isang bansa. At ayon sa kanya, ay dapat lahat ng tao ay may natural rights to life. May karapatan kang magmay-ari, mag-angkin. So, ayon sa kanya, pwedeng tanggalin daw yung mga ruler o namumuno sa kanilang posisyon kung hindi nila maproprotektahan ang kanilang nasasakupan o sariling bayan ayon kay John Luke. Luke believed that in a state of nature, no one's life, liberty, or property would be safe because there would be no government or laws to protect them. According to Luke, governments do not exist until people create them. Ang paniniwala ni John Luke ay pagkakapantay-pantay maging ikaw man ay king o ordinary citizens. So in the second paragraph, sabi niya, hindi maproprotektahan yung buhay o pagmamayari o kalayaan ng mga tao kung walang gobyerno. Kasi sabi niya, the government is the people because hindi mabubuo ang gobyerno mag-isa kung wala ang mga tao. Sa madaling salita, ayon kay John Luke, kung wala ang tao, walang gobyerno. So the third great political thinker is Plato, 428 to 348. Plato was a philosopher in classical Greece and the founder of the Academy in Athens, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. So si Plato ay isang philosopher ng classical Greece at siya ang founder ng Academy sa Athens. Siya din ang unang nagpatayo ng institution sa Western world. Plato's famous book was the Socratic Dialogue, written around 300 BC, concerning justice, the order and character of the just city-state and the just man. It is Plato's best-known work and has proven to be one of the world's most influential works of philosophy and political theory, both intellectually and historically. So, ang pinaka-famous na libro daw ni Plato is The Socratic Dialogue. Sinulat niya ito around 380 BC. Ito is concerning justice, the order, and character of the just city-states. So, dito napapaloob yung justice, order, at character of the just city-state. Dito rin napapaloob yung mga gawa ni Plato na has proven to be one of the world's most influential works of philosophy. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga gawa ni Plato na most influential works sa pagdating sa philosophy and political theory and both intellectually and historically. Plato regards education as a means to achieve justice, both individual justice and social justice. According to him, individual justice can be obtained when each individual develops his or her ability to the fullest. For the Greeks and Plato, excellence is virtue. So sabi ni Plato dito is, yung education or through education, we can achieve justice and social justice because there is education to support the government. Ibig sabihin, sa paniniwala ni Plato is mas mahalaga yung education sa pagpasok o kung ikaw ay papasok sa isang politics dahil sinusuportahan ng education yung government o yung ginagawa sa isang politic. According to Plato, a philosopher king is a ruler who possesses both a love of knowledge as well as intelligence, reliability, and a willingness to live a simple life. Such are the rulers to his utopian city, Gallipolis. So according kay Plato, sabi niya, ang philosopher king o ang king na namumuno sa isang bansa ay dapat may pagmamahal sa kanyang talino o kaalaman at may alam at hindi daw pwede dito ang walang alam at hindi siya manloloko, and willingness to live a simple life. Ibig sabihin, humble na namumuno, hindi yung naging king na siya ay mas naging mapagmataas pa siya according to Plato. So we are proceed to the fourth great political thinkers, the Federalists, 1787 to 1788. The Federalists supported the ratification of the new constitution and believed a more robust national government with greater powers was necessary to unite the individual states and create a stronger country. Federalists believed the economic problems and internal unrest America faced in the late 1780s were due in part to the weakness and ineffectiveness of the federal government under the Articles of Confederation. So, on this federalist, ibig sabihin, regionalize yung power ng isang namumuno. Pag sinabing federalism, for example, here in Philippines, hahati-hatiin yung mga regions. For example, is yung BARM, Region 10, Region 11, Region 12, Caraga Region, and so on so forth. Ganun yung federalism. Ibig sabihin, for example, yung nakokolekta na tax is napupunta sa isang region ng federal. Halimbawa, ang BARM ay federalism. So, lahat ng tax sa BARM region ay mapupunta sa BARM. Na iyon ang kokolekta nila. Na hindi katulad sa ngayon na panahon natin ay yung mga tax na galing sa isang region ay napupunta sa national government at nare-remit natin sa national government. Since hindi tayo federal, is yung nakukuha nating kayamanan sa Bangsamoro homeland ay napupunta sa national government. Parang sila ang napapagkain natin. So that's the view of federalist on politics or government. So dito sa federalist, believe the economic problems and internal unrest America faced in the late 1780s were due in part to the weakness and effectiveness of the federal government under the Articles of Confederation. So, may something dito na history which is hindi daw effective yung federalist sa Amerika noong 1780s, pero nakadepende na yan siya sa namumuno ng isang bansa. So that is the view of federalists on how or what is politics. So the fifth great political thinkers is Aristotle, 384 to 322. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher, logician, and scientist. Along with his teacher Plato, Aristotle is generally regarded as one of the most influential ancient thinkers in a number of philosophical fields, including political theory. So si Aristotle is isang Greek philosopher, logician, at scientist. Along with his teacher, si Aristotle is one of the most influential ancient thinkers. So nung unang panahon, si Aristotle ay isang ancient thinkers. Pagdating sa dami ng philosophical fields at kasama din dito ang political theory. Aristotle says is to investigate the basis of the government and what makes for bad government, and to identify the factors favorable or unfavorable to the preservation of a constitution. Aristotle asserts that all communities aim to some good. So ayon naman dito sa kay Aristotle, ang paniniwala ni Aristotle dito ay nakafocus sa constitution. Ang isang example nito is si Bay Sandra Sema as a congresswoman. So, nagpasa siya ng batas. Ang batas na yun ay parang yun yung nalalagay sa constitution. Ibig sabihin yung batas na yun is malalagay sa constitution kung aprobahan ng Congress. Kasi ang mga congresswoman o congressman ay sila yung gumagawa ng batas. Dahil ayon kay Aristotle, yun daw yung maganda. Kasi for example, may representative ang Bangsamoro government sa Congress. So magkakagawa siya ng batas na naaayunan ng mga taga Bangsamoro homeland na ma-implement yung batas na yun. So we are proceed to the sixth great political thinkers. Moses Maimonides, 1138 to 1204. Maimonides is a medieval Jewish philosopher with considerable influence on Jewish thought and on philosophy in general. Maimonides also was an important codifier of Jewish law. Maimonides believes or argued that Torah contained philosophical wisdom and that the most complete understanding of Torah is philosophical understanding. Thus, creation, revelation, and redemption are at the very core of Maimonides' understanding of all of reality. So, dito naman kay Moses Maimonides na isang Jewish philosopher na yung Torah, yung parang dinadala niya or pinapanigan niya pagdating sa batas o politics. Kasi ang Torah is a law from God. Ito yung literal meaning ng Torah. So para sa kanya, ang Torah ay philosophical understanding or philosophical wisdom. Also, complete understanding of Torah is philosophical understanding. So ang pinaka-basis talaga ni Moses Maimonides is yung Torah, which is kahit sa Islam ay ang Torah is law. So mas pinapanigan o mas agree si Moses Maimonides sa sinasabing Torah kasi ang Torah is law from God. So, ito yung kanyang paniniwala pagdating sa political or government. So now, we are proceed to the seventh great political thinkers. Thomas Aquinas, 1225 to 1274. Thomas Aquinas is considered to be one of the greatest thinkers in the history of philosophy, and is most famous for his attempts to interpret and expound Aristotelian philosophy within a Christian framework. His political philosophy truly reflects this Christian Aristotelianism, where man has an end designated by God, operating through nature, and the ultimate purpose of political institutions is to enable man to reach this end. So dito naman kay Thomas Aquinas is a Christian, pero yung paniniwala ni Aristotle ay pinapasok niya doon sa Christian framework. So sabi niya dito, his political philosophy truly reflects his Christian Aristotelianism, where man has an end designated by God, operating through nature, and the ultimate purpose of political institutions to enable man to reach this end. So sabi niya dito, ay ang mga tao ay may paroroonan o commanded by God or may pinapreserve ang God para doon sa kanila. Thomas argued that man was by nature a political animal, both because he had natural impulses to gather with others of his kind and discuss political concepts such as justice and right, and because political institutions could best create the condition that man needed to reach his end of life of virtue. So, sabi naman niya dito ay ang mga tao daw ay political animal. Say for example, may nangyari o iniipon natin ang mga tao at nakikipag-usap tayo sa kanila about a certain problem or issues. issues. For example, may nangyaring patayan sa isang lugar. So, kinakausap natin yung ibang tao para i-discuss yung mga nangyari. Because politics is vested with the purpose of man's moral development. Political freedom of for Aquinas therefore becomes associated with the regime which leads man to his own good, that is, to a life of rational, virtuous action. So sabi na naman dito is yung politics daw is for moral developments. May kalayaan yung mga tao and may rational. Ibig sabihin, ang politics daw ay nakadepende daw sa life of rational o pagiging mabuti. So yung mga purpose ng politics according to Thomas Aquinas. So the last or the great political thinkers in this particular topics is Adam Smith, 1723 to 1790. Adam Smith was among the first philosophers of his time to declare that wealth is created through productive labor and that self-interest motivates people to put their resources to the best use. He argued that profits flowed from capital investments and that capital gets directed to where the most profit can be made. So para naman kay Adam Smith, ang kanyang view sa politics o government ay nag-focus siya sa political economy. Para sa kanya, ang politics ay nag-focus lamang sa ekonomiya. Parang more on kayamanan siya nag-focus. For example, pag nagserbisyo ka sa bayan, ay babayaran ka. So yun yung view ni Adam Smith sa politics. In fact, he believed that government had an important role to play. Like most modern believers in free markets, Smith believed that the governments should enforce contracts and grant patients and copyrights to encourage inventions and new ideas. So in fact, si Adam Smith ay naniniwala din siya na ang government ay may import at may importanteng role sa government o sa politics. Dahil ang government is mas kailangan ng mga tao upang mabuhay sila ng mapayapa at marangal. Ayon yan kay Adam Smith. So, dyan nagtatapos ang report natin o topic natin sa political thinkers. So, we are now proceed to the types of government. Although maraming types ng government, but ito lang yung nakalagay doon sa books. Ito lang yung ating i-discuss. So first is oligarchy. Oligarchy government by a few, especially despotic power, exercised by a small and privileged group for corrupt or selfish purposes. An oligarch is a member of an oligarchy, person who is part of a small group holding power in a state. For example, a high school ruled by a popular clique is an oligarchy. So dito sa type of government na oligarchy ay para lamang ito sa mga iilang tao, especially sa mga taong mapaghari o may karapatang maghari o ang tingin nila sa kanilang sarili ay mataas na. At ang government na ito o types of government na ito ay bumubuo sila ng maliit na grupo para lamang sa intensyon nilang mangurap at pagiging selfish. So, sa madaling salita, ang oligarchy at types of government ay nagkatuon lamang ito sa particular o iilang tao na may kayang maghari o may kayang maghari sa kanyang nasasakupan. So, ang example niya dito is a high school ruled by a popular clique is an oligarchy. So, ang isang high school daw na pinamumunuan ng isang kilalang grupo is a part o isang halimbawa ng oligarchy. So, the second types of government is aristocracy. Aristocracy is defined as a ruling class made up of people with royal blood, or is a government of collected people who are thought to be exceptional in some way, and therefore the most qualified to rule. This is usually contrasted with democracy, in which all citizens are able to rule. An example of an aristocracy is Britain's royal family. Another example is the Kennedy family in the United States. Ang aristocracy ay dinedefine niya yung mga taong royal blood ay mga dugong panghari. Ay mga taong may dugong panghari. So, itong mga taong ito ay exemption sa mga gawain pagdating sa gawaing panggobyerno. O, kumbaga, limit lang sa kanila yung mga gawaing panggobyerno. At ito sila ang mas qualified para mamuno sa sinasabing aristocracy government. At ang kapangyarihang mamuno ay nasa kamay ng ilang tao o pamilya lamang. So, yan ang meaning ng aristocracy. This is usually contrasted with democracy, in which all citizens are able to rule. So meaning, ito ay magkambing sa democracy dahil yung mga citizens is pwede silang mamuno o pwede silang magkisali mamuno sa sinasabing aristocracy government. Basta ang mga citizens na yun ay may dugong panghari upang ma-qualified sila na mamuno sa isang bansa na ang types of government niya ay aristocracy. So the next one for the types of government is monarchy. Monarchy is a form of government in which total sovereignty is invested in one person, a head of state called a monarch who holds the position until death or abdication. An example of a monarchy is that which presently rules over Britain, and he is headed up by the Queen Elizabeth II. So ang monarchy government is ang namumuno lang dito is one person o a head of state called a monarch. So ang monarchy is either reyna o hari lamang ang pwedeng mamuno sa ganitong government na monarchy. So sila yung gumagawa ng batas, nagpapatupad nito at naghuhukom sa mga paglabag sa batas. Walang taong sakop na hindi sumusunod sa kautusan ng hari o reyna. So ang pinaka-popular na halimbawa nito is the headed Queen Elizabeth II of Britain. So siya yung namumuno ngayon sa Britain. So yan yung pinaka-madali o kumbaga literal o popular na example ng monarchy. So the last one for these types of government is democracy. Democracy refers very generally to a method of group decision making characterized by a kind of equality among the participants at an essential stage of the collective decision making. The people elect their leaders. These leaders take this decision about laws. The United States and Nigeria are example of presidential democracies. The executive branch includes the president and his cabinet. So, sa madaling salita, ang democracy ay ang may karapatan ang mga tao na pumili ng kanilang pinuno o mamuno sa kanilang bansa. Ibig sabihin, ang democracy ay may ah, freedom of choice. Kumbaga, may karapatan kang pumili ng gusto mong mamuno sa inyong bansa. As this characterized by a kind of equality, meaning dito sa democracy is equal yung lahat ng tao. Kumbaga, pantay-pantay ang tingin ng gobyerno pagdating dito sa democracy. So ang mga gustong mamuno dito ay kinakailangan nilang manumpa o sumunod kung ano ang nakasaad sa batas ng democracy. So ang pinakamalapit na example nito ay ang United States at ang Nigeria, because this country is example of democracy government. So that is the end of my discussion. Thank you and shukran for watching. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.